to Intruders. It's your
Intruders.
Yeah. It's
.tv.
Intruders.tv. Yeah, it's your third
time. Third time. I think that's a record.
Excellent. Well,
has anybody been on more than twice?
No.
No. So that's that record.
There you go. You set the precedent.
There you go.
So
does that make me your best guest?
Absolutely, without a doubt.
Yeah. You tell that to all your guests.
No, thanks. So I remember the last time I seen the interviews for the last time you came down, and I think you were beating the growth expectations from Mahalo, and it sounds like you're beating them again. How's it going?
It's going very well. We've been out for 14 months or so, and we had a record month for August, 4.6 million unique visitors, which is quite nice, about twice as big as we thought we'd be. And so it keeps growing, and it's not, a Web 2.0 startup, that has a lot of fancy features like friend feed or, it's not the sexiest business in the world, but it helps people. And it helps people who are looking for information and who are doing research. And my belief is that the innovation on the internet in the next 10 years or 5 years will be trust. And what's really missing on the internet is branded content that people feel they can really trust. There's a lot of information available on the internet, and probably half of it, a third of it, is incorrect or bad. And of the rest, a portion of it's maybe not presented as well as it could be. So I think the internet users need on the internet the ability to find information quicker and to get trusted information, and that's what we're working on.
So for the benefit of anyone who hasn't heard of Mahalo, which is probably no one in the tech community, can you give us the brief elevator pitch?
Yeah, it's Mahalo is a human-powered search engine, and when you look at the pages, it has an abridged Wikipedia-style article, which gives you the facts about the subject we're talking about, the essential facts that you need. So the person's birthday, if it was an individual, or the director of a movie, just the fast facts, an information box. And then curated hand links. So we pick the links and we put them in sections. So the iPhone, iPhone problems, iPhone accessories, iPhone videos, iPhone competitors. Basically just really organize the information. So instead of giving you just a Google result that could be pretty random, and if you type a word like plasma TV or green tea into Google, it's going to be pretty random. And you're going to get a lot of those sort of spam sites. So it's spam free, and they're guides to the web. Really concise, well-written guides to specific topic areas.
And I've been noticing for the last time you spoke to us and looking in the press, you've been adding more and more features at a time. Social bookmarking now, is it? You've got?
Yeah, we have social bookmarking in it, so it's sort of like Delicious, where people can add links to pages. So if we have a page on green tea and you think we missed something, or you wrote an article on green tea and you think it should be on our page, you just go and submit it. When you submit it there, it also goes onto your profile page. That hasn't taken off in a major way. I mean, there are people who do it on a pretty regular basis, but I think the number of people who want to use social bookmarking sites is very small. And Delicious is a small site, StumbleUpon's a small site. But they do help find relevant, interesting stuff. So there is something there to building a community of people who like to submit information.
And I hear you're moving on to some new features as well.
Yeah, we'll launch tomorrow a new homepage. And on the new homepage, we have a section called the Liveblog. And on the Liveblog, it's based on live blogging, which actually Peter Rojas created when we worked on Engadget, where he would blog minute by minute what Steve Jobs was saying.
Yeah.
It was a very innovative thing, and so all the credit to Peter Rojas for coming up with that idea.
And I still looked at Engadget for that live blogging on the iPhone.
And people would watch the live blogs on Engadget. Now everybody does it. TechCrunch does it, and CNET does it. Everybody does it because it's a great format. And so we took that format and we decided we have these great pages, right? So we have a page on Sarah Palin and Obama and Alaska and creationism and dinosaurs or whatever. So why not watch the news and live blog the entire world? So we have 8 editors who are constantly watching the world and writing one-line items. So if Sarah Palin drops in the polls, we'll write that in one sentence and link to our Sarah Palin page. So you can come back to the page and it'll be updated 20, 30 times an hour with just one-liners about what's going on in the world in different categories. So sort of like a newswire or like Drudge Report, but much faster, or Dig, but much faster. And so we're trying to speed up and curate what's going on in the world, because we found out that people who were using Mahalo were coming back to the homepage 2 or 3 times a day to look at the news, because we have a little news section of breaking news. And we think, Mahalo so far has been sort of like Wikipedia and Google. Now we're layering on a little bit of CNN.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting. If you own the Wikipedia, or if CNN or the New York Times owned the Wikipedia, that'd be a really good combination. If Google owned the Wikipedia, that'd be a good combination. If Wikipedia owned Google, that would be a good combination. So those three sites together, the New York Times, Wikipedia, and Google, make for a really interesting intersection. People go to Google to do research. They go to Wikipedia to get information. They go to the New York Times to get information, do research sometimes, but breaking news. So, news, search, and research are very overlapping circles. And sometimes people go to the New York Times for research, sometimes they go for news. Sometimes they go to Google for research, sometimes they go for news or navigation. So we're trying to come up with a new service that sort of services all of those needs. It's never been done before, but we're getting there.
And what people might not appreciate is that this is quite a big army of people behind this, isn't there? How many is it now?
Well, we have almost 100 full-time people, and then another 200 or 300 freelance contributors.
And this is people writing the search pages, right?
Yeah. And so we think we'll get to hundreds of thousands of these pages. We're at 100,000 now, and we can build 1,000 a week pretty easily. We think we'll be able to get up to 5,000 pages a week at some point if we wanted to. If we wanted to really spend a lot of money and do it, we're not going to do that too quick. We want to really think about it and do it intelligently.
So I remember in one of your last interviews with Intruders, you were saying that you maybe went to some geek dinners or something, and you heard a lot of people were maybe really cynical about each other's business ideas. I mean, did that come back from a direct personal experience from you? Were people cynical at Mahalo? Or?
Well, anytime you have a really good idea, I think you're going to get a little cynicism.
Yeah.
Because if your idea is truly groundbreaking or really innovative, people are going to not understand what you're doing. And you can't explain what the business will be in 2 or 3 years. If you looked at Dig in the first month or two, you'd say that's a stupid idea. People should vote up the news. You're going to trust a bunch of idiots to vote up the news. And when you went to the Dig page, originally it was like 8 votes, 9 votes. And it was like, this is just dumb. And now it's actually kind of interesting, right?
Yeah.
And if you tried to explain to somebody, we're going to create a gadget and it's going to be the CNN of news, people would say originally that's dumb. You don't need a CNN of gadgets, but people love it and it's doing really well. So there's, you can learn all these things. And what I've learned is the better your idea, the less people understand it in the beginning.
Yeah.
And with weblogging, people told me that would be a failure. With Silicon Valley Reporter, my first magazine, people told me it wouldn't work. And so I'm used to people telling me in the first year it's a terrible idea. I'm used to them telling me in the second year it's a great year. Yeah, it's actually a really good sign if people don't understand it.
By having a relatively small number of search terms, well, it's actually quite a large amount now.
Right.
You actually must own most of the search results because that's what most people.
There is a fat tail. People will search for the same things over and over again. People will search for green tea every day for all eternity. People will search for pizza, or for Italy, or for iPhone forever.
Yeah.
And so that's the good news. The bad news is people want a full search engine, and so they're right. And so we have a couple of choices there. We can keep building our index, and who knows how big we can build it. If we can figure out a model where we're profitable for building a page, and a page only costs us $20 or $30 to build, we at some point can figure out, well, gee, it's just worth building all these pages.
Yeah.
And it just may be a matter of taking the time to do it. Just like Wikipedia got to 2 million articles. It just was a matter of time and being patient. But if it doesn't, we can use machine search for the long tail. And we could either build our own machine search engine, we could license one, like use Google's and Yahoo's. So there's a lot of opportunity for us in that space, but we haven't even gotten to that yet.
For me, I use the granny test.
Yeah.
So does my granny understand it? Yeah. And when my granny uses Google, she'll type in just a simple keyword, iPhone.
Right.
She won't be typing iPhone minus Engadget, quote unquote, something.
Yeah,
like
site,
so
whatever. Yeah. She's not going to use those operators, and I think there's a little snobbery in the internet business. Obviously we're used to like all these advanced features, but the truth is, majority of people are never going to use something like Delicious or Stumble Upon. It's too complicated, and that's okay. They're still great services for people who use them, and the data from them can become very valuable to everybody else. So I also use the grandma test, and we have a term for it. We call it a Mahalo moment.
Right.
When we show somebody a page when they're in need of information, you're really interested in, Sarah Palin, and you've never heard of her before, and now she's the vice president. We've got a really good Sarah Palin page. It's a great place to start, and so we're finding that we're a really good starting place for people, and that's a virtuous place to be.
So the last time you came here, it was, you noticed kind of just moving on to a different area now, you noticed kind of the London community was maybe a little bit cynical, not so working together. I mean, you've seen the presentation today, some of them were awesome. E-Republic.
It's definitely changed.
It's changed.
It's getting more positive now. I can sense there's a more vibrant entrepreneurial spirit just in the last year.
Yeah.
I think everybody can notice it. People are pretty psyched and they feel confident they can do it. I think watching Meebo and Last.fm and Skype and these companies do well has inspired people, and it should. You don't need to be in the United States to build a major internet company anymore.
That's right. I mean, there's a really, for a lot of people as well, you know, there's a really low barrier to entry to making their ideas successful now.
That's right.
I mean, people, you know, they network, they meet a few friends, bring them together, do a bit of coding. There's some really interesting stuff going on.
The zero-cost startup is a major trend.
So lately you've been kind of talking about kind of the trends in the economy and also, you know, how to kind of buck that trend by being really good at PR. And I know that you've ever since I've been following your career, since I've been in the industry, you've kind of been like the master of PR. What's the key to doing that?
Well, you know, it's not a one-size-fits-all kind of thing. I think you have to be yourself in terms of marketing. You know, there's a bunch of internet celebrities out there, as they call them. You know, Robert Scoble or Kevin Rose or Leo Laporte or Veronica Belmont or Peter Rojas, and you know, everybody gets their reputation and their PR a different way. You know, Veronica Belmont, you know, does great videos, and Kevin Rose is, you know, got, you know, Dig, and, you know...
Yeah, we'll see him with a few beers tomorrow, I think.
Yeah, have some beers with him. So he's got his shtick. You know, everybody's interesting for different reasons. I think if you're doing good work, that's the best thing to do.
Yeah.
If your product is really good, your PR is going to largely solve itself. And so I was very lucky to have, you know, Engadget, Autoblog, Joystick, really great success with the blogs. So you couldn't help but get press coverage. And also we were part of something, a movement, blogging. And now with Mahalo, we're doing something really interesting that's really epic and sort of ambitious. So that also carries with it some press. And then there's, you know, all kinds of little kung fu kind of features. But, you know, I think being really honest is my brand of PR. And I'm always willing to say how I feel about something. And I could be wrong, and I frequently am, but at least people know when I say something, number one, I mean it. I'm being honest. You know, and number two, I've got a track record for being probably right more than I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Maybe not that much more, but enough that maybe it's worth at least reading my email newsletter or checking out my Twitter, or, you know. So if you're right more than you're wrong, it's helpful. And it's also have fun with it, you know. But most people, I would say most companies are boring. And most entrepreneurs are boring, and that's the problem. They're not doing something exciting. You have to stand out, rise above the noise.
So how, you know, say if I'm just a normal developer and I'm coming up with an idea that in my bedroom or something, how do I turn that into a story that's kind of something that guys like Mike Arrington or whatever would really like to talk about the story? I mean, what do they like to pick up on?
Well, I think if you have a blog and you blog about the issues around your company, so if you were doing something like we saw something today on a massively multiplayer game or a RPG, like a real-time strategy game or whatever it was. We saw a real-time strategy game, an RTS. Start a blog that talks about other real-time strategy games in a credible way. Go to conferences where they're talking about it and present. And if you are everywhere, my philosophy of PR is build great products, be fascinating, and be everywhere. So if you're just involved in everything, you're blogging, you're twittering about it, you're going to conferences, you'll eventually rise above the noise.
And that's, of course, how you really grew your career, wasn't it? I think, was it New York Times or someone called you the connector?
The New Yorker wrote a big story about me being the connector, yeah. So networking is definitely a good thing. I mean, every time I go to a city, I bring Tyler with me, and Tyler meets everybody, and Tyler's my emissary. He's off camera. There he is.
Just
he's on the...
Now he's on camera. So Tyler goes ahead of me and meets people, and, you know, he'll meet some folks, and he'll ask them, who else should Jason meet when he's in town, and then we'll meet those people. So I like traveling a lot and meeting a lot of people because that really allows you to learn a lot and to get yourself out there. So you guys, and this is the third time we've talked, you guys know all about Mahalo, and you might have a conversation with it about, you know, with 10 people in the future. And so if you meet 100 people in a year and they all talk to 10 people about what you're doing, that's 1,000 people. So that's why you have to be out there. You can't just stay home and code.
Yeah. I mean, one of the strange things, I mean, you've been really, really open for ages about kind of your business and what you're doing. But I always find there's kind of like this 50-50 mix between the Calacanis lovers and the Calacanis haters. Almost.
Yeah.
What the hell? Where's that come from?
Well, you know, if you say something like SEO is BS, or you say you don't need a PR person, you're not going to endear yourself to a lot of people. So, you know, the whole entire SEO industry hates me, and now the public relation agencies hate me.
But you know, it's totally true, isn't it? Because if you've got an amazing following on Twitter. Was it 25,000?
And there's no PR people involved.
Yeah. So you make one post on Twitter, and you're gonna get like tens of thousands of hits instantly, aren't you? So.
Yeah, or 1,000 or whatever it is. And, you know, and people talk about it. I mean, listen, if you're going to be really honest and tell the truth, some people are not going to like it. And so, you know, and also I have fun with it. I don't take it too seriously. You know, there's a lot of anonymous cowards out there who post comments. And
trolls.
They're trolls. And a lot of them, I see the same people like posting comments, you know, over and over again, like people who feel that I've wronged them at some point, or, you know, I wrote a blog post about it, I don't agree with them or something. They'll just comment forever, you know, they'll become obsessive. So I've got like a whack pack, I call it, you know, like a pack of wacky, crazy people who are just obsessed. And it's kind of funny, you know, it's flattering, I guess.
Excellent. So as Mahalo, you know, you've got a really long-term mission for Mahalo, and you've already said about the 5-year plan. You've got big investment from Sequoia, of course, and News Corp, and I mean, is there a particular target you have within that? I mean, you used to be speaking
I would
about
like
users, and
I mean, users and the user experience are the most important things. So, you know, you have to have both of those things. You have to have the features, and you have to make the technological achievements and the editorial achievements. So I feel like we're doing really well on the editorial achievements. We're getting pretty good at the tech achievements. We could improve a little bit there. And then in terms of traffic, that'll come naturally.
And in terms of your career, what startup number is this? Number
this would be number 3, and if you count TechCrunch as a startup, TechCrunch 50 event, that'd be 4.
So you're on a third startup, and what's quite cool about Mahalo is you see right at the start you were looking at like 5,000. That's what you wanted your target, and then 25,000. They're really quite humble goals. How do you kind of have the confidence and the vision to kind of turn each one of these achievable steps into something that's really big? I mean, how did you get to learn all that stuff?
Well, you know, you do it for long enough, you make a lot of mistakes, and, you know, then you learn a little bit about leadership. And leadership is about having very clear goals and everybody understanding what the mission of the company is. And everybody at Mahalo can tell you the mission of Mahalo. It's to help people find information they can trust. And that's our mission. We want to help people find information they can trust. And information could be, you know, a fact, it could be a link, and it's a very noble mission. So then from there you peel it back, and there are tactics, there are strategies, but everybody knows what the mission is. And so they can make the right decision as to the tactic if they know the mission. So I don't need to be there to help them. They'll know what to do. So yeah, I think I've learned a couple things about leadership. Hire great people.
Yeah.
Empower the hell out of them. Work hard. Fire the bad people. Fire the average people. Fire some of the good people. Keep only the great. You know, and that's what my talk actually is going to be about tomorrow, I guess, is I made a controversial statement at some point. You should fire the good people.
Yeah, I remember it.
I was sort of being a little bit of a cheeky monkey there, but it is true. I mean, if you're going to build an Olympic caliber team, you know, you need to have everybody performing at a very high level. And I look at startups like that, like being in the Olympics.
And I think that's a really, really good point to focus on, especially now that you're in the UK. Loads of UK guys are really bad at kind of outsourcing their stuff to other people. You often, the 2-person startup, the transition between that and having like 10 people is always difficult because the founders want to keep control. And what you're saying is just hire people who are truly awesome, and then you've got no problem giving the control. Right?
Generally, you know, what I find is if you hire great people and they know the mission and you communicate well, they're going to make the right decision. And in a lot of cases in business, there could be 3 different decisions. All 3 could be right. All 3 could be wrong. All 3 could be 50, 60, 70% right. There's usually not black and white answer. What is the problem is people don't make a decision and they don't do anything. That's paralysis, you know, and that's really the problem. If you don't move in a certain direction, you can go in the wrong direction, then you can change course. You'll know it's the wrong direction if you go on for a while. The problem is if you just sit there and do nothing. That's when you have a problem.
So very shortly we've got the opportunity to go off to the after event bar or whatever they're having. So
Yeah.
I'll just ask you one last question.
Sure.
So within your recent startup history, what's kind of the biggest mistake you've made? I mean, it's really hard to say retrospectively mistakes that you wouldn't make again, or you tell everyone don't do this.
Well, I didn't sell my first company when I sold for $20 million for it. That was a big mistake.
Right.
And then I wound up selling it for a lot less. I think, I stayed at AOL for a year, and I didn't need to stay there. I learned a little bit, but maybe I could have got out of there a little bit earlier. But I had a good time, so I don't regret that too much. At Weblogs Inc., I made a couple of tactical errors, like I wanted to do blog name .weblogs Inc., like gadgets.weblogs Inc. instead of Engadget, and then Peter Ross and Brian Alvey, my partners, convinced me to go with brand names. I was wrong about that. So I've been wrong about a lot of things. The important thing is that you realize when you're failing fast, and when you fail, just fail fast and correct course. I don't have much of an ego about it. The market will tell you if you have the right answer. I don't need to have the right answer. I just need to have the wisdom to look at my team and look at the market and know if it's working or not. Really, it's about assessing if it's working, not having the right answer. I mean, when you're young, you think you have to have the right answer about everything.
Yeah.
When you get older, you realize you don't have to have the right answer. You have to have the right process.
Yeah. And better than that, it doesn't have to be the perfect answer, but as long as it's the one that people actually use and generates a business out of it. I think that's pretty important.
Yeah, making it into a business. That's good.
Yeah.
That's a virtuous thing to do.
Excellent. Well, thanks very much for talking to us again, Jason.
My pleasure.
Hopefully again in another 6 months' time.
Number 3. I'll see you at number 4.
Excellent. Thanks.